So just going back to the cognitive error side of things, this is also driven in today's world just by the immense amount of information that's out there. Because this is really about how we gather and process information. There's one major limitation and that is just our own cognitive abilities. Yeah, that we as humans do have limitations. We've built good computers and we've got AI nowadays, but even with that, there's still going to be limitations on being able to analyze all the information we have, but in particular on understanding what information to use and rely upon in making our decisions. In regards to gathering information, some of the biases that we might exhibit might be things like recency bias, whereby we maybe have an over-reliance, let's say, on more recent information. This is similar to availability bias. That is, we are going to be biased by the information that is more readily available, more readily memorable as well. There's also confirmation bias, and this is also what we might call a belief perseverance bias, but this is the bias towards relying upon information that speaks to our existing beliefs and ignoring information that contradicts our existing beliefs. So investors have plenty of beliefs about how the investment world works. And so, yes, are we challenging those beliefs or not? Other biases out there might be in regards to these cognitive errors are our information processing biases. And there's plenty of these, plenty of computational errors that we make when we analyzing investments. For example, there's overconfidence bias. This is when we have a overestimation of our own skills and our own analytical abilities, let's say. Or anchoring bias, where we perhaps have too much reliance on initial states or values. There's also, similar to that, maybe representativeness or small sample biases as well, where we place too much emphasis on small data sets or on patterns that could be fleeting. Now, again, there's plenty of these cognitive information processing errors that we can make. On the emotional side of things, again, this is more about feelings, and this is where we endow our investments with properties other than, in particular, the financial, the economic. Investments are generally about assets that can generate benefits for the future, but maybe we're thinking more outside of just economic benefits. For example, in particular, maybe we might endow investments with some kind of sentimental value. And we see this happen a lot. But there's also other types of values we might ascribe. Plenty of investors out there just want to own assets that their friends own, for example, or where investments can be more of a fad or a fashion than an economic instrument. So yes, when we endow investments with other qualities, often we create these emotional ties to these investments rather than just financial ties. Other big emotional biases might be regret aversion. That is, we don't like the feeling of regret, and therefore we don't want to make decisions that we will live to regret. This can lead to things such as decision paralysis, where we don't end up making any decisions at all. This can mean that we are not making good rational decisions. Also, there's emotional biases relating to conservatism kind of personalities and status quo biases, where investors might just like to keep things the way they are. If they're still working, no need to change, or you might have an aversion to change just in general. And so this might mean that you don't make good rational changes.
Now, if you're a bit of a finance nerd like me, why don't you check out my Substack? There's a link in the description, and here you'll find additional concept notes, unedited videos, community chats, and much more. See you next time.